years now. So what I'm going to do is share a little bit of info on ADS as an organization, our areas of focus, and why we feel customers, choose to work with us and stay with us. So a little background: we've been around for 25 plus years in the cybersecurity space as a value-added reseller and services integrator, focusing solely on security with a small overlap in core networking, of course, as everyone knows. So we're not going to be a partner for storage, unified communications, or really other areas of IT. We stick to what we're great at, right? And we leverage best of breed technologies in the market, coupled with experienced and expert engineers. Right now, we have about 65 employees, 400 plus customers, and we're growing what seems like daily in both areas. We're located all up and down the East Coast, primarily in the Northeast, with offices in Lowell, Buffalo, and Hartford, Connecticut. And then, of course, we're a growing team down in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast region as well. Really, we have customers from all different shapes and sizes, right? Whether it be a large healthcare organization or a small bank, we feel we're equipped to service and provide value to all types of organizations. Because what we really try to do is understand each unique challenge as it relates to security in your business, right? We know that each client, each customer, your goals, whether it be driven down from C-level executives, or whether it's driven from the bottom up, everyone's different, and we try to understand that and try to understand the unique challenges there. So we, of course, partner with great vendors such as Akamai, Guardicore, right, in the areas of segmentation, which Brian will get into. Then we focus with edge security, IPS, IDS, CASB, cloud security, SIM log management, identity, EDR, MDR, XDR, SOAR. And if there's an acronym that I missed there, please someone fill me in, because I can't keep up with all the acronyms. And then, of course, we have a practice area within consulting services and managed services as well. So, just on a side note, before we move things over to Brian here on the demo, I myself, I've worked at a larger VAR before, and I honestly feel what separates us from a lot of resellers in the space is our communication with our customers, our responsiveness, and really our customized approach to each customer, as I was alluding to earlier. Whether that be a services related engagement, or if we're making a technology recommendation with you, not for you, but with you. Again, we know that each one of our clients is different as it relates to your own internal world, right? So we really try to understand your culture, whether you're a one-person security team or a 50-person security team. We want to understand what the business drivers are as it relates to risk into your organization. So that's really all I had. I hope that was helpful. I'm sure some of my customers are sick of me talking. So I will turn things over to Brian. So why don't I introduce Brian? So without further ado, Brian Ward. He's of course works for one of our closer partners, Guardicore. Brian has 20 plus years of IT experience. He's currently the manager of solution and engineering and segmentation at Guardicore. He'll be talking about mitigating a ransomware attack with micro-segmentation. So Brian, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Appreciate that. 20 years, geez. People say 1990. To me, I don't think that's, 30 some odd years ago. I think it's like 10 years ago. Geez. Anyways, I digress. And let me get into, I'm going to do a little bit of a presentation, probably just 4 slides. And then what I want to do is get into, I'm going to do a kind of a real live simulation of a ransomware attack. So kind of let you see what that looks like, and how Guardicore, Akamai, how we protect against that. So share my screen and share my Prezzo. Can everyone see that?
Sure can.
Okay, awesome. So let's talk about a little bit about what segmentation is and what Guardicore does. We are a segmentation company. We protect large companies, small companies, large enterprise corporations in whatever data center, hybrid, on-prem, against any sort of attack, east-west, on those inside those data centers. I like to use kind of a ship as an analogy around what's, how to explain segmentation. I'm sure some people on this call know what segmentation is. Probably, maybe some people don't have an idea what segmentation is. And, in the old days when they made a ship The really old days, they didn't put any bulkheads in it, right? So what did that mean for the ship? If there was a penetration of the hull,
I'll let you know.
or is somebody on? If you guys could mute, that'd be awesome.
They opened a ticket.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so if there was a penetration of that hull, that whole boat or ship would sink. Because that little one penetration, wherever it was, front, back, center of the hull, would cause a catastrophic event for those ships. So shipbuilders were like, "Hey, we got to think of a different idea here because, especially in wartime, you didn't want to lose your ship with one shot, right?" So what came along is the invention
I'm still here.
Okay, could you guys mute, please? Thanks. Is the creation of bulkheads, which are little compartments inside the ship. And you can see that here, right? So what that means for the ship is the survivability of it in case, there was a penetration of the hull by whatever means, it would only affect that little section of the ship. So that little section of the ship within that bulkhead would fill with water. The ship wouldn't sink. It would still, be able to float, and the same goes for submarines. In segmentation from a security point of view, these theories around shipbuilding and bulkheads apply, right? Because segmentation within the network is essentially that. You're creating, these little areas that protect your network. So if you are compromised anywhere within your network, it's really isolated to a small area of it. And it also prevents that lateral movement, right? So if somebody does compromise the network, they don't have the ability to move around the network, and so in reality, or in the larger picture, that blast radius of an attack is significantly reduced by segmentation. Okay, let me go to the next slide. So what is Guardicore? What do we solve? All right, and our core use cases for segmentation or micro-segmentation are the three that you're looking at. So zero trust initiative, if you have or are implementing zero trust framework, in regards to that, we could be a part of that, or we are a part of that zero trust initiative. We are the segmentation piece of that if you're building that complete zero trust initiative. So whether it's with MFA, with SASE, I'm going to use tons of acronyms, just like Justin did. But that's part of that zero trust initiative. And if you want to get to that full zero trust deployment, you need to deploy segmentation as a part of that. So we can help in regards to that. And I'll get a little more into that. Compliance. If you have PCI, PII, HIPAA, healthcare type compliance, Guardicore Akamai can help you achieve those compliance standards through, the enforcement of a segmentation policy. So if you're protecting patient data inside a hospital organization and you have to be compliant with certain HIPAA regulations, we can help with that through segmentation to get you in compliance. The same with PCI. If you have a payment type system or you're accepting any sort of or keeping any sort of credit card information, there's compliance standards around that. And part of those compliance standards is to segment off that data. And we can help you with that. Ransomware risk, one of the most talked about, I think, in the last few years, in the world. A lot of large major organizations compromised by ransomware, causing those organizations millions and millions of dollars, and lost revenues, and lost marketing, I guess, and fines from certain organizations, like the FCCA or the FCC, who put out that they were going to severely fine organizations that were compromised by Log4j or any other sort of ransomware compromise that leaked customer people's information. Like, it's a big deal. Like, the White House is looking at it also. And Guardicore can help you with that. And I'm going to show you kind of a live demo, or I'm going to show you a live demo, not kind of how we mitigate that and protect our customers against that. So let's talk a little bit about zero trust alignment. So probably a lot of people on this call, a lot of people I've talked to, zero trust is really in their mind. Either they're thinking about it as a security person, CISO, security architect, CTO, CIO within the environment. They're talking or thinking about doing a zero trust project. Oh, can we get you to mute there again? Thanks. And for us, we look at Forrester, right? Forrester really did invent the zero trust framework. And there's no single security vendor that addresses every facet of it. I think it would be disingenuous if somebody were to tell you that. It's a defense in depth strategy, obviously using different products. And so however you follow that blueprint, you can kind of clearly see here how Guardicore can serve as the centerpiece of that zero trust architecture. So, we have advanced visualization capabilities that help you identify and understand your sensitive systems and data, what those dependencies are around those applications also, and the ability to do flow mapping to see those connections, those dependencies in a single pane of glass, I guess you could say, and the activity around those flow mappings and dependency. Our software, we have a software-based and AI-guided segmentation approach, right? And we feel it's the fastest, simplest, most effective way to create and/or manage the zero trust. What zero trust or Forrester defines them as micro perimeters or segmentation. We also provide integrated threat detection capabilities, and that allows you to monitor, the efficiency of your zero trust policies, right? And we can quickly correct any flaws in those policies and see any via alerting and information in regards to that. And finally, our approach is automation ready. We like to play nice in the sandbox because we are part of a zero trust framework, like I had said, is multiple vendors. So we want to integrate with many different vendors. So we have a very rich API and orchestration integration with many different XDRs, EDRs, SOAR platforms, and SIMs that we can integrate, which helps build out and address that zero trust framework. And so let's quickly, our guiding principles. So this is my last slide, and then I'll get into the demo, which I think you'll find a lot more interesting. So, Akamai Guardicore, our guiding principles, really, we give you that unified visibility and control. So we have a centralized UI, which I'll show you, a single pane of glass to, get that visibility, understand how your flows are being mapped between the different applications, and then have the ability to create security policy in a single place. Along with our automated tools. You can see the whole environment, whether it's in the data center, on-prem, or in any cloud, Azure, AWS, GCP, it doesn't matter. We can support all of those environments. And coverage is a huge deal for us. It's a competitive differentiator for us also. We can support almost any endpoint desktop out there, all the way down to Windows 7 and Windows XP. So we support legacy OSs, including the Windows Server 2000, 2003, AIX, Solaris, FreeBSD, to name a few. So we can go back and support those older OSs that, for whatever reason in your environment, you can't get rid of them. But you want some sort of security around them, we can help with that. And also IoT, OT devices. So those industrial networks, the medical devices and those pieces, we can help with that. And the third one being ease of use. So we know, segmentation traditionally has been a journey, and we want to help our customers go through that journey as quickly as possible. And we provide workflows and templates, to really guide the policy creation, to make it much faster to deploy policy. Our orchestration capabilities, we can leverage that existing data like in the cloud in Azure, AWS, and VMware to pull in information into the environment so that we can label and organize the environment much quicker and faster. And that, you know, all of that allows you to quickly triage and respond to an incident. So your SOC, your help desk, your support team has the ability to look at processes to, you know, see a ransomware attack, maybe if it's in progress, and respond and mitigate to it, which I'll show you. And then our flexibility. So we do allow and deny list rules. We're not just an allow only solution, we do both. And from a labeling point of view and organizing the environment and understanding it, there's no limits to us. You can apply as many labels to our environment as you want. You're not limited to, you know, maybe just 4 or 5 from an existing, vendor or what have you. And our coverage, we obviously have more use cases. So, you know, being legacy, identity based, we can do identity based, environmental segmentation, mergers and acquisitions, and crown jewels, ring fence segmentation. So we cover more use cases than a lot of our competitors. All right, so let me get into presentation, and I'll sorry. 1 second. It shares on my laptop screen, and sometimes it gives me an issue. And what I'll do is I'll share my larger screen, and let me know if you guys can see all that.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit of what we're looking at here. So I have 3 RDP Windows VMs here. And what I have is I have an attacking machine. So this machine in the center with kind of the matrix like, evil looking is the evil machine that's going to do bad things on this fictitious customer network. So what I want to do is I'm going to run an executable, a script that's going to encrypt certain files. So it's very typical of what we see from a ransomware attack. And I'm purposely not using Linux here because, you know, in reality, what we've seen is a lot of these attacks are initiated directly from Windows machines, for obvious reasons. Your traditional Hollywood make-believe of a hacker, in a hoodie trying to guess passwords is really not the case. It's probably some guy sitting in a call center somewhere, on the other side of the world, right? Who's, was luckily enough on his side or her side to have somebody in the corporation click on a phishing or spear phishing email of some sort and allow them access to their machine. And so that's kind of what we're portraying here. So I'm going to be this bad person. I'm going to launch this script, and I have 2 virtual machines in the environment here. So this is an accounting server within the environment, and I have a few files here that I'm going to show how we're going to encrypt them. So this is my machine that's unprotected. So we don't have a Guardicore Akamai agent on here. This is pretty well a naked machine in the environment with no protection other than the basic EDR and Windows firewall. And Windows firewall. On the right is my accounting web server, which is running the Guardicore agent. As you can see here, it's telling us our computer's protected. We're running our enforcement module, our reveal module, and our detection module. So all of these are sitting, listening. They have certain rules, policy applied that help control those connections that you shouldn't have inside the environment. So it's segmenting that environment. And then what I'll do is I'll show you, after I run this, we'll go into Centra and I'll show you the map of how we're blocking those connections and our basic rule set. And then what I'll do is I'll take some questions. So what I want to do here is I'm going to execute this script. And what it's doing is it's trying to connect to the accounting web server first. We are a security company. We're not just a segmentation company, and we have thousands sensors all over the internet, which are honeypots. And so we attract these type of attacks. And then we have cybersecurity experts who monitor these attacks and forensically audit them so that we can understand what they're doing, so we can protect our customers. So that what we're seeing here is from an actual attack that we witnessed on our honeypot. We filter this down to our customers, especially Log4j in the news a lot lately. We filtered how to protect, how to look for Log4j in the environment and how to protect against Log4j in the environment using Guardicore with our existing customers. So as a customer, you get that. That's part of the solution. It's included. So you can see, it's trying to guess username and passwords here, right, which are incorrect. I have 3 built into this as it tries to guess, and then it can't. So you can see what happened here. Nothing happened on this side. On this side, we got the ransomware, right? So I changed the background. This is very typical, right? All your documents have been encrypted. We want 20 Bitcoin and so forth, and send it to the following wallet. This is something that you'd see on an actual server. Not so much a workstation, but an actual server. And then we drop a little note with that information also onto the machine. And you can see that we have these 3 files that are now encrypted. You can see .enc. So if that's very important company data, that's a big deal, right? Like, how do you recover from that? Normally what they're doing is they're also looking for the backup servers. And they're going to do the same thing to the backups if they can. And you can see on this side, nothing's happened. We have the option to alert the endpoint that with a little pop-up if the attack does happen. By default, it's off, mainly because we don't want to alarm the endpoint person if it is a desktop that this is happening. But we will see it in the back end. So now, if I go to Centra, let me know if you guys should be able to see that. This is a map in Centra. So this is Guardicore. This is our product and what we do, and this is our visibility around our product. So what I've done here is I've created a map that maps out this attack sequence. So this can be done beforehand. It can be built on the fly, but we can see the attacker, which is in the middle here. So this is this machine here where it ran from, and we can see that the attacker reached out on these flows, to the accounting dev accounting server and the accounting web server, right? And so the red line means that the accounting web server, which is this server that's running Guardicore, you can see it was blocked. So we blocked that, and we blocked it to the service, the system service that it was trying to initially connect to directly. And if I click on this line and I open on the right here, what we can see is the flow data within there. So you can see it was trying to connect on 445 SMB and NetBIOS. So it was trying to do that file encryption over the line on that machine, but we blocked it. So we have rules in place that don't allow that. But that's the rich contextual data that we can see here. So if I look on the other side, you can see that it's a regular line and it wasn't blocked, right? And so it connected directly on 135 and 445 SMB to encrypt those files. And this is the attacker server here that I'm on, that I'm running. And you can see that I'm coming from the internet and I'm connecting over RDP. So that's what we see quite frequently, is RDP ports are open for connection, whether they're servers being used by administrators. And then what happens is that phishing attack allows them to be connected to external. So we see that quite a bit in the environment. Let's go over here. And this is a typical rule set. So this is the rule set that we have applied to the one server we have a Guardicore agent deployed to. So very easy, this is what we're allowing. So we're allowing these protocols, these connections, and then everything else is being blocked. So that's the reason why we couldn't connect and encrypt those files. Don't know if that's a little small, but let me know if you can't see that. I can make it larger. And this is really how we do segmentation. So we create these policies, these rules, and we deploy them out to the environment where we have agents to either do alerting or enforcement. So instead of a block here, we could put an alert. So you don't interrupt production, you can test rules, you can deploy rules to make sure that you've collected all the ports that you want to include in your allow or deny list. And then when you're ready, you can create a block list and be in enforcement for all those endpoints. So that's kind of all I had for this demo. I think I could take some questions.